But the way of Jesus, the thing that Jesus does for us is Jesus sets aside his rights at the top of the spiritual ladder, and he identifies with us. He becomes human with us. And Paul would say not only does he become human, he also humbles himself even to the point of death. That Jesus, in order to reconcile, to bring us back to God, Jesus humbles himself, challenges all the categories, and becomes obedient even to becoming a slave to the Roman Empire and being killed on our behalf. That Jesus radically identifies with us who are at this spiritual bottom of the ladder. And in doing so, he becomes the bridge through which we can be reconciled to God. And so Paul is looking at the life of Jesus. He's looking at the message of Jesus and says the way of Jesus, who humbled himself, who identifies with us and then reconciles us to God, that way of Jesus calls us to be a reconciling kind of people. To be a kind of people who challenge the categories and the definitions in our world and in our day, to say, how can Philemon and Onesimus be brothers? That doesn't make sense in the way of the world, but in the way of Jesus, it's the most logical thing you could imagine. Because the way of Jesus is to bridge the gap between people who could never exist together. You see, when we link arms with people who are different than us, when we link arms with people that the world says we should keep at an arm's length, we're demonstrating that the way of Jesus is true. The way of Jesus is powerful. This is what Paul wants to see. Philemon and Onesimus not restored to the way that things were, where Philemon is the master and Onesimus is the slave, but transformed into a community where Philemon and Onesimus are brothers, are family. See, here's the thing. Our unity in the midst of our diversity, demonstrates the power of Jesus. Because when we can link arms with people, and we can experience unity together in the midst of all of our differences, in the midst of all the differences that the world said should keep us separate, we demonstrate that the love of Jesus, the power of Jesus is greater than any label that is placed on us outside of the walls of this community. That within the context of the people of Jesus, the only definition that matters, the only definition that holds weight is what Jesus says about you. If Jesus died for you, if Jesus restored you and redeemed you, then you are my equal. And we're not going to allow the definitions that assign worth to you outside of our community to count in this space. Because if Jesus can bridge the gap between us and God, then Jesus can bridge any gap between us and each other.